Hi, my name is Gail Emma Scott, and I am reading from my first novel, Double Lives. I'm reading chapter by chapter, and this is chapter 4 of 34 chapters. Chapter 4 Cracks in the Foundation. Jessie held a tissue under her nose and sniveled during dinner. Mrs. Briggs had, as usual, prepared the meal and served it in silence. After Willy said grace, no one spoke as they ate, but the tension in the air made it clear there had been an argument recently. Betty Sue Briggs moved methodically around the table, serving her husband and daughters, her apron still dusted with flour. She kept her eyes on the plates, not daring to look up. Each time one of her daughters spoke, her shoulders tensed slightly. It wasn't that she always agreed with Willy, but questioning him only made things worse. She had tried to argue with him once, years ago, and the bruise from his fingers digging into her arm lasted for weeks. Now she stayed quiet, praying her daughters would learn silence before they learned pain. Finally, Willy broke the silence. He turned to his middle daughter and said sternly, "Don't you ever say nothing about that private school. Private school was good enough, public school was good enough for me, and it's good enough for you." "But Papa," Dawn said softly, "we aren't learning anything there. The kids are always fighting. It's dangerous. Don't you even care that Jessie was beaten up at school today?" "If you leave them darkies alone, they'll leave you alone," Willy snapped. "Jessie must have said something to provoke them." "I gave them all my lunch money, but that wasn't enough," Jessie whimpered. "They beat me up because I'm your daughter. They say you hate them. I don't want to go back to school, Daddy. They hate me there." "That's the school the state law and the school board says you're supposed to go to, and that's the one you'll go to," Willy said, shoveling more casserole into his mouth. "But Papa," Don cried again, "my teachers don't even know what they're talking about. I've heard the teachers at the private school went to famous universities out on the East Coast, places like Harvard, Yale, Princeton." "Now listen," Willy said sternly, leaning forward. "The good Lord created you just as you are, so there's no use in trying to better yourself in this world. Just prepare for the next one, as the Bible tells you." "But this private school—" "No!" Willy shouted, hurling his glass of water against the wall. It shattered, the pieces tinkling to the ground. His stunned wife and daughter stared in breathless silence. "You listen to me, Dawn. I'm your father. You do as I say. And I say you ain't going to that private school. You ain't going." "Yes, sir," Dawn murmured, tears welling in her eyes. "How do you expect me to pay for private school, huh?" Willy demanded. "I'm saving every penny to buy airtime, to spread the gospel, and save up for the new cathedral. I don't have the money to throw away on your education. What are you going to do with all that schooling? You're a girl. The good book says a woman's role is to obey her father and husband, keep quiet, and stay home to raise the children. Now, why do you want to go and throw my money away on some private school?" Dawn stared at her plate, not hot tears dripping onto her uneaten food. "Answer me," Willy roared. "Because I want to learn." Dawn's voice barely rose above a whisper, but her eyes didn't flinch. Somewhere deep inside, she had begun developing a secret plan. She read copious library books, hoarded pamphlets from college recruiters when teachers weren't looking, and dreamed of someday writing speeches for world leaders. She didn't merely want to learn, she wanted to escape. She sensed education was the only lifeline she could grab. "What do you need to learn that I can't teach you? Do you think you're smarter than your daddy?" Willy's voice grew angrier. "You're in 10th grade now. I didn't even finish 7th grade, and here you are telling me you're too smart for public school. How do you think that makes me feel? You trying to threaten me?" Huh? You'd best get control of your pride, little girl, or Satan's going to drag you down for sure. Dawn, Mandy, and Jessie exchanged a knowing look. An unspoken bond formed in the shared experience of living under their father's oppressive rule. And as for you, Willie continued, his sharp gaze shifting to Mandy, just because you're a good student doesn't mean you're going to college. If you behave, maybe I'll let you go to Bible college. But I don't want to hear any more talk about no pagan state universities. The tension in the room thickened, and the girls' shoulders sagged as they resigned themselves to the futility of arguing with their father. The speech trainer came to the house every evening to coach Willie on grammar and enunciation. The trainer, a tall man, oh, Willie despised both the trainer and the lessons. The trainer, a tall man with tufts of gray hair above protruding ears, spoke in a shrill, condescending tone, treating Willie like a wayward schoolboy. Come now, Reverend Briggs, the trainer said, leaning forward. Repeat after me. I am not going to. I ain't gonna go, Willie snapped, folding his arms across his chest. And I ain't gonna learn to talk the way you're teaching me to talk. But, sir, it's part of your contract. If you don't pass these lessons satisfactorily, you'll be forced off the air. The trainer adjusted his wire rimmed glasses. Now, please, just take a breath, relax, and repeat after me. I'm sick and tired of repeating after you, Willie exploded, his face reddening. You should be repeating after me. I'm a preacher, and people listen to me because I talk like they talk. Simple folk, farmers, ranchers, oil rig workers, they understand me just fine. I don't need no fancy speech lessons. Reverend Briggs, your ministry is gaining traction, and there's potential for your show to go national next year. Northerners won't understand your southern drawl. To spread your message, you must adapt. I ain't changes. I ain't changing it. So get out, Willie roared, leaping to his feet and flinging the study door open. The trainer, flustered and clutching his briefcase, muttered something about informing the producer before storming out of the house. Willie stood by the window, still fuming from the trainer's visit, when he saw a sleek blue car pull into the driveway. He squinted. Was that Derrick's wife? What was Carla Lewis doing here at this hour and without her husband? The new butler, recently hired to protect the Briggs family from the growing number of overzealous fans trying to snap photos of Willie and beg him for autographs, opened the front door to find a woman in her late 20s standing on the porch. She was stunning, with long brunette hair and a gold necklace that sparkled under the porch light. Her low-cut dress hugged her figure, and her soft smile lit up her face. Willie's throat went dry. Mrs. Lewis, this is a surprise, he stammered, his eyes darting away from her shapely figure. Shall we talk in my study? Of course, Carla said, her voice lilting in an elegant way that made Willie self-conscious. She followed him into the study, where he closed the door behind them. What brings you here, Mrs. Lewis? Is Derrick all right? Willie asked, struggling to maintain his composure. Carla hesitated, clutching her purse tightly. I came for counseling, Reverend. I don't know where else to turn. Willie nodded, his discomfort giving way to genuine concern. What's the matter? You can talk to me. She sat down, her hands trembling as she twisted a handkerchief in her lap. It's my husband. Derrick and I aren't getting along. I don't think I love him anymore. Willie's eyes widened in shock. Now, Mrs. Lewis, marriage is sacred. You vowed to love and honor him. Surely you can work through this. But I can't, she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. I've fallen in love with someone else. The color drained from Willy's face. Have you done anything with this man? No, Carla said quickly, but I can't stop thinking about him. He doesn't even know how I feel, but the longing is unbearable. Willy leaned back, quoting scripture in an attempt to calm her. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, think on these things. Carla smiled faintly. That's beautiful, but you don't understand. The man I love is you, Willy. The words hit Willy like a blow to his chest. Me? He whispered, his voice barely audible. Yes, you, Carla confessed, stepping closer. I know it's wrong, but I can't help how I feel. Willy turned away, trembling. Acting on that feeling would be a sin. Lust, adultery, everything in the Bible warns against those things. You must forget those feelings, Mrs. Lewis. Go back to your husband. But I love you, she cried, reaching out to his arm, to touch his arm. Willy recoiled as if burned. Leave now, he said hoarsely. Please, for both of our sakes. As Carla turned to leave, Betty Sue appeared at the top of the stairs in her bathrobe. I thought I heard voices, she said, eyeing Carla suspiciously. Willy forced a smile. In a panic, he quickly devised a plausible explanation. Mrs. Lewis was just helping me with my speech training. She's my new speech trainer. Speech trainer? Mrs. Briggs asked, her tone laced with doubt. She studied Carla for a moment, too long for comfort. Her eyes narrowed at the neckline of Carla's dress. Her voice didn't rise, but something in her face changed. A tightness in her jaw, a quiet storm behind her eyes. Well, Betty Sue said finally, I suppose everyone can learn a thing or two. Betty Sue wasn't a fool. She'd seen the excited flicker in her husband's eyes, the hesitation in Carla's smile. She filed it away silently, just like all the other things she'd learned to overlook. Yes, Willy said quickly, his voice trembling. She has a degree in communications. Carla nodded, offering a weak smile. I'll start tomorrow. Mrs. Briggs frowned but said nothing, retreating upstairs. Once Carla was gone, Willy slumped into his chair, his hands trembling. Lord help me, he murmured. I cannot let this happen. That's the end of chapter 4 of Double Lives.